Hey, welcome back. We've been on a short hiatus. How long has it been?
I don't know, like 8 or 9 days, I think.
I think it's been like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. Actually, has been like 2 weeks.
Huh, that's kind of expected. We're busy, I guess. Not really, but we kind of got a schedule. We're gonna stick to it. Hopefully, some people don't fucking run off. Um, but yeah, we still have interest in the show. We're definitely gonna keep pumping out these episodes, whether nobody's watching them or whatever. Um, just
I
because we
mean, at
want
the
to.
very least, they're interesting for me. So, uh, I feel like I'm just gonna keep going until I have nothing else to say about it.
But we're gonna also put some new stuff. I put up that short clip the other day. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. I thought the editing was done well. Like the pictures went pretty well with what was being said, and a couple of them even got me by surprise because they were funny, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, I want to do more of those. With we're gonna have some more content out. I think we're gonna tell more of our stories. That brings up, we got some more exciting plans in the future. I mean, the immediate future. We're definitely gonna try some new substances. We got some group cast ideas coming and some live trips while we're on substances. It's gonna
You
be
will
pretty
even
interesting.
be introduced to one of our friends that you haven't heard from yet, called Dude.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be a really exciting time, a really exciting couple episodes coming out.
yeah. Dude's gonna join us, and dude's one of our first time trippers. So it'll be interesting to hear his perspective if we can even like form
Yeah, I'm
words
really
to talk
excited to
to him.
see what his takeaway from the thing is and how he feels about it being like he's not only a first time tripper, this is kind of like first time drug use in general. Like he doesn't really do much.
But I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about that in the episode.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gonna be. Hopefully, he can like put words together. I hope he doesn't like zone out. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited for that. Maybe Salvia. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. If we're lucky.
If we're lucky,
Which,
maybe Salvia.
so to throw my 2 cents in on salvia, um, a lot of people online say it's the worst thing they've ever experienced and that they'll never do it again. But when you read about their setting or, their actual location of where they took the salvia or the people they were with or the mindset they were in, just watch videos on YouTube. Typically, salvia is brought out at like a high school or a college party, and people are like, dude, this is so fucking crazy, man. You gotta take a hit of this. And that is not the setting to be doing a fucking psychedelic. Um, I've read some people say they have like it's their favorite substance. They've had some of the most amazing trips they've ever experienced, but that was because they were alone or in a good headspace in a good environment, like their room or outside. So I'm really excited to see what Salvia has to offer.
Yeah, I really like. I don't know a whole lot about it, but what's in the public. I'm really excited to try it though. I mean, if it's what people say it is, should be a good time.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. Oh, what I also want to do, I don't think I've ran this idea by you yet, but I realized the other day that I've never taken DMT outside. So,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't even
yes,
think about that.
I want to see if like those crazy ass next level hallucinations, like if they have a new characteristic to them if I'm outside or like surrounded by trees and plants.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never thought about taking DMT like outside before.
Yeah, neither did I. I feel like if we just find I mean, the nature trail's big as shit. I feel like if we just find a pretty quiet, like segregated area somewhere, we can definitely just take turns doing it. And the whole thing should only take like, I mean, if we all do it at the same time, like fucking 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. At the same time, I don't want to. I'm surprised we're just, you know how like sometimes you can just zone out and it won't matter where you are when you take your DMT trip. Like
Yeah, yeah.
at the same time, I feel like it's going to be a very different scene. Though I feel like it's going to be different.
I think it will too. Like, so, well, I'll save some of this for our DMT episode, but one of the strongest hallucinations I've ever seen while taking it is I was sitting near my wall and it extended. It just like shot out into infinity and
Hmm.
carved out into the wall were these little like um not Goliath, golems, I think. Uh,
Yeah,
there were
like
like
gargoyles,
hundreds. Wait, what? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like a
kind of, but like
gargoyle.
they're the I don't know like which people believe in them or like which mythology they're from, but they're essentially like rock or clay creatures that got brought to life by magic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, essentially, I just saw a wall with hundreds of them, and I'm really interested to see. Like, I've had such unique visuals on DMT. I have no idea what to expect if I like am looking at the trees or across a field or over a cliff while doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's like it'll change what we're staring at extremely because when we taking it in your room, you know, there's been stuff to stare at, but generally like the stuff just morphs into just it doesn't really matter. It just splotches together.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's true.
I was gonna say, could you hear that a minute ago? Like some girls were being like
Yeah,
the one
I
guy.
heard a woman's
Yeah,
voice.
dude, you have to tell me that because I need to like I don't know. I think the window's closed, but I don't want to get up and close it at the same time.
Well, yes, yeah, I did hear someone talking.
I think they left though, so we're good.
All right, cool.
That got me totally off my train of thought.
DMT, visuals, nature.
Oh, well,
Um,
I was just gonna go on. I mean, I guess that's enough introduction. Really, this episode, it's in the title. Duh, you know what's it about? We're gonna talk about some LSD.
some lysergic acid diethylamide.
Whatever it's called. So we could talk about the history and blah 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 blah, but we're not really like super experts. I don't believe.
Plus, I feel like the history of LSD is some of the most well known in the psychedelic community.
Mhm.
To sum it up for you guys that don't know it, in 1938, a Swedish chemist named Albert Hoffman synthesized LSD. Um, he dosed himself with 250 micrograms, which is a hefty dose, and then he took probably the most famous bike ride in psychedelic culture. Um, it's incredibly well documented. He has a book called My Problem Child,
Mhm.
and he very well documents everything in that book. So if you want to learn more about just the history of it, um, that'd be the place to go. Which after reading his account, it's really interesting because he said he thought, I believe this was when he was peaking, he thought he was going insane and that he was possessed by demons.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about like if you dose yourself with that much acid and you're the first person ever to do it and you had no idea this was coming, I'd probably think I just fucked up and somehow developed insanity on my way back home.
I
Like,
don't know. I would have went for more of the movie approach that I was just the chosen one, and this was the end time.
but yeah, it has a really well documented history. We're no historians. You can it's definitely something you can go research for yourself.
Yeah.
Before we get into our personal experiences, I wanted to talk about the mechanics of LSD a little bit.
Mhm.
Now, we have a good idea of how it works and what it does, but we don't know 100%. So, half of what I'm about to say is proven, and the other half is speculation that I pulled from different forums. Um, so, essentially, LSD acts on your serotonin receptors. It mimics serotonin,
Yeah.
and by that mimicry of serotonin, it can get into your brain and it kind of connects everything. The connection with LSD is really interesting because this has been proven. It physiologically connects parts of your brain that usually don't talk to each other. So like, okay, for example, uh, your brain filters out a lot of things that it deems unnecessary. You can go to a mall and hear 15 different conversations and not retain any of it just because your brain decided it was useless.
Mm-hmm.
On LSD, your brain kind of doesn't really make decisions like that anymore. It just kind of lets in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, where like if you see something, it will go to one part of your brain. On LSD, it will go through several parts of your brain. So that's why, like a lot of people, if they have some kind of big problem or dilemma, they'll take acid and think about it for a little bit because it causes you to approach problems in entirely new directions because your thought process is completely changed.
I know what you talked about, where you when you pull in all these processes around you. I feel like I get sometimes I end up with headaches during acid trips because I just get just a little bit overwhelmed.
Mm.
Especially if I have like music and whatnot going. Um, Sometimes I just need quiet.
That's understandable. I actually, when I listen or when I'm on LSD, I prefer to listen to music, and I do almost constantly, like from right before I start to come up, all the way till usually after the trip. I'm just listening to music the entire time just because I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually suggest that since LSD is like a very sensual experience, um, they say to stimulate all of your senses at the same time and that you can get a lot out of the LSD experience by doing that. So
Huh.
like an example of that is you would probably pop a piece of candy like a Jolly Rancher or something, lay in your bed and surround yourself with like really soft blankets and pillows, get some good music going, light some incense, stimulate your nose. And apparently like the
And
more
masturbate.
yes. Um, apparently like the more you stimulate your senses, the more connectivity there is and the more like you can experience everything. People say if they like can get to where they overstimulate themselves, they kind of lose track of what sense is doing what, and they all kind of blend together into one sense. And I think that'd be like something super interesting to do.
Hmm. I feel like you have to drop like 300 to do that though.
Most likely, yeah. I think that's where like see, well, that's another reason why like I say LSD is very big on connections. Is even at the higher doses, that's when like synesthesia happens, the
Mm-hmm.
blending of the senses. Um, it just it really connects everything, and as we're about to get into, I feel like I notice well, when I trip and look around at all the things near me and in my life, like I just see them connected in all kinds of different ways. It's really interesting. I think the headspace from LSD is my favorite that I've experienced so far.
It's definitely different. Uh, I, it's not as strong as some other things that make you pull that may like make you examine something against your will, but it definitely is a weird headspace.
Hmm.
Um,
It's very analytical, which I really like.
yeah,
Like
that's
it's
true.
just it's interesting figuring out. I don't know, just like
Problem.
yeah, problems. Just thinking about things, thinking about like the relationship of things and other things. Um, It's super. I mean, it's just super interesting. There's no other way to
Yeah,
put
I
it.
mean, yeah, that's true. I remember during some trips, just thinking and like sometimes you'd come up with an answer that really wouldn't make sense at all, and like but it would make sense at the moment. Like if you would write it down, like, oh yeah, that's the answer. Like you would solved it. Like you would
Hmm.
figured out the puddle, like the puzzle, the final piece, and you had solved life, eternal mystery, and you feel pretty good. But then when you get sober, you're like, what the fuck does that even mean?
I know. I love it though. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get into our trips if there's like nothing else you want to add about the history, the
Yeah,
stigma, the.
I really just want to get into like this first trip I've been thinking about. The first time we dropped acid. And
So I was gonna actually, since it was, I think the trip that it affected me the most. Do you mind if I talk about my first trip, which
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
alone?
Actually, I think you took yours before mine. So go ahead.
All right. So the first time I dropped acid, I don't remember a whole lot from it. I tried to keep a trip journal, but I'm ass at keeping up with that. And for those of you that know, I was on 100 micrograms, by the way. For those of you that know, like I was looking around and everything was breathing and moving and just alive. And I'm staring at this notebook. And I'm like, how the fuck do I describe any of this? And I just gave up attempting. Um, but I know like a couple of the big things that I thought about while on that first trip that really stuck with me. Um, the illusion of power, essentially. Like I was thinking about how ridiculous the idea of a king is.
Hmm.
Like when I think about just systems of hierarchy, it's ridiculous. It's absurd that it's like it's these beings all of equal, I guess, equal physiology, but because one guy says to do something, entire groups of people just
Yeah,
willingly go along with
they
it.
back them by faith. That's like back by faith is a weird concept. It's
Yeah,
like
it
how
really
money
is.
works. How does money get its value? It's got its value because it believes that you have it. Like you believe it's got value.
Yeah, I mean it's like little interesting things like that. I feel like I just really enjoy thinking about on LSD. But one of the other things, like I'm not the hairiest guy around, but my legs and arms are a little bit hairy, and so are my feet, and even like my toe knuckles have bits of hair on them. So I'm kind of a
Yeah,
hairy guy.
everybody's got hair on their toe knuckles, dude.
I don't know other guys' toe knuckle hair situation.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I was sitting in my recliner, and this was while again tripping on my first trip. And I look at my hands and feet, and I just get so many images of just primates and just monkeys in general. And during that trip, like this incredibly solid connection was made that we're all just animals. And since then, it's really difficult for me to separate what a human is and what an animal is. Like, I feel like there was such a clear distinction, but now when I look at the two, I can
mhm.
see they're the same thing.
Huh.
Um, and there's also like every now and then, if I'm doing something specific, like if I'm eating something a certain way, or if I'm using my tongue or my lips in a way to like eat food, I get this mental image of just some kind of primate making the exact same motions. So, like to
Huh.
this day, if I'm eating something and I like move my mouth in a certain way, I get like an instant imagery of a monkey doing the same thing.
Huh.
Um, I think that trip just like it just really cemented into me that we're all animals, we're all the same, we're all connected with this planet. Um, and what's even interesting is I can like when I look at people now, I see them not so much as human as I did before, but just more ape. So I really notice the similarities we have between apes, and it's pretty difficult to do with women because their hair is really done up. Typically, they're wearing more flashy clothes.
Yeah.
Um, they're
They don't
typically
have. They're not very hairy.
yeah, but like there are some dudes that when I look at them, I almost think they are a monkey before I think they're a man. Like they're just so hairy and have.
You're floating on a fine line here. I
But
don't know if you want to continue.
uh, but yeah, I mean, I was like one of the bigger impacts that really stuck with me after my first trip. Just like these ideas of equality and similarity to the animals that we share this planet with, and um, ideas along those lines. That was pretty much my first trip. There was some more stuff, but I just can't remember it.
Hmm. So you felt like you had lasting changes from this trip, like.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think this one more so than any other.
Hmm.
I think it made me kind of humble. Really, I feel like there's a it's not like a terrible arrogance, but I feel like there is kind of a separation in most people's minds. It's us, and then there's plants and animals, and
Yeah.
that's kind of it. I feel like this just really like,
It made you feel more at one with nature and that you weren't a separate being.
yeah, I think that trip is part of why like recently I've been having these like spurts of wanting to just go outside and enjoy the colors of nature and the, you
Hmm.
know, the temperature and the wind and the humidity and just enjoy it.
Appreciate
And
life.
yeah, and I think this trip was definitely responsible for that, or at least part of it.
Yeah, I can definitely sympathize with that. I feel you, bro. Um, you remember anything else from that trip?
Um, so I like the computer card game Hearthstone.
Hmm.
For those of you that don't really know what it is, it's essentially like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic the Gathering,
It's a
but with
card game.
yeah, it's an online card game. Um, I remember like LSD is a very analytical drug, and I was making all kinds of connections. Like when I would step off of my bed and my bare foot would touch my carpet, at the same time, I'm connecting like the life cycle of all the cells that make up my foot, everything they've gone through, and everything all of the atoms that make up the carpet have gone through. Everything like that was put into having the carpet being made and then transported over here and then installed into my apartment.
Hmm.
Um, it was like it's very analytical, and again, I just everything connects. Like in your mind, you just see connections everywhere. So I thought that would help me at like a card game that's like half luck, half skill. But
Yeah.
I just got obliterated. Like I know there was, I could not wrap my head around the rules. I couldn't understand how the game was played at all. But I bring that up for a reason. It's for another trip that I'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, that's mostly it for my first trip.
The next time, I don't know. I guess this is when we first trip together. My first trip. Um, this was at your place.
Mm.
Um, I can't remember if it was me, you, and dude.
It was, yeah.
It was me, you, and dude.
Oh,
Okay.
before you get into that, so um, what I would consider my first real trip, I actually think what Alex is about to tell is the is my first real trip or my first technical trip. What I just told was what I would consider my first real trip. I took 100 micrograms of wow, white on white. In this story, we each took what I'm assuming was about 60 or 70 micrograms, and then he redosed, and the effect was uh, a lot less than it was during my first, what I would consider, real trip.
So yeah, we first started at like 60 to 70. Because these were on cute little ink, like cute little blotter paper art for
Hmm.
whatever it's worth. Not a whole lot.
I believe it had the Dalai Lama on the blotter.
Ooh, how interesting. um, so when we popped that, we just kind of set her. I remember we drove around to Sonic that morning, and we
Mm.
popped that acid, and we got some of those delicious cinnamon bites, dude. And they were so good. Did you eat anything? I think I got like a corn dog.
I think the only thing I tried was one of those cinnamon bites, but I would like to cut in real quick. So in terms of like just eating while you're on acid, apparently you want to stick to like granola and fruit really. If food is overly processed, personally, like I just get this feeling of disgust when I eat something that like is microwavable or processed, and I haven't done it, but apparently if you eat meat like beef jerky or you cut into a honey baked ham, that can send you some bad vibes apparently. Yeah, just like something I want to throw out there in case we're like about to eat when we're tripping, and maybe you can remember that.
I never really had that much effect when I eat on acid. It's the only it's the only psychedelic I can actually eat on. I feel like every other one I just don't want to eat.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, it is fucking 8 to 12 hours.
I remember we took it and we sat on the your balcony, and it took like we just waited there, and about 4 hours went by, and I was like, yeah, I feel pretty good, seeing some distortions in the clouds, but I think I got a little bit farther to go, and so I redosed 4 hours in, which probably wasn't the best idea. Um, it definitely wasn't the best idea, but it really, really kicked up the trip much farther than I expected.
Mm.
Um, we went to the dock down at UWF campus, and I remember it was just super, super nice.
Mm.
You remember the dock's always nice.
Yeah, I love the dock. That's definitely where, like, on this next trip, if it's like if we're not dead from walking all over fucking campus and in between my apartment, um, I would love to go back there because like last time Alex redosed, but I didn't. And dude was there and he was sober, so I was trying to like keep a foot in psychedelia and a foot in sobriety, so I could interact with both people. But yeah, Alex definitely had a more intense experience than I did, but I still really like the doc. Like my trip was at its peak. When we were there. Like I would just lay back and stare into the clouds.
I sat on the side of the dock, and I was staring down at the water, and it would reflect back into the sky, and so it would make me feel like I was sitting like 3,000 feet in the air, and just looking down at this like eternal like abyss below me, and it was the trippiest thing.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It was super, super cool. And I remember I got really philosophical. I don't know
Philosophical.
philosophical, uh, philosophical. When I took this acid, and I kept talking to dude, and I would make like references every now and then, and I would like make metaphors for him about the path, and he was like, because we were walking on this long path, and he was always like complaining like, I can't believe I walked all the way down here. And I was like, dude, you're paying too much attention to the path and then missing all the beautiful nature. Like, I was just like making references here and there, just to not like seriously, just to play with them. But they just came to me. They were just rolling here and there, and I thought they were pretty funny. But I did have that like that headspace of like just relatable like advice you could give.
Mm.
I remember we came back and I tripped all day, and and then we decided you guys were really hungry, and so you wanted to go to Applebee's. And
Oh yeah, I forgot we went to Applebee's.
yeah, we went to Applebee's, man, and we got there, and we had this douche of a waiter. And I was like tripping my balls off in this Applebee's, and you guys are pretty sober, but I'm still tripping hard. And I know I'm just like jittery because when you're on acid in public, you're like everybody knows I'm on acid. There's no way I can hide this. And our waiter, he's just some like he just looks like a kid from college. But he's got the creepiest vibe to him to me. Like I was just getting creeped out by this dude on acid. Like he was super creepy to me. And
To me, he kind of looked like God, I cannot remember that dog's name, but it's like the cartoon dog that always has like the really long face, and when he talks like he's kind of depressed. Like this dude looked like he had too much skin for the size skull he had, so his face was kind of sagging.
He was like he also was carrying a lot of extra weight under his a few sizes too small shirt, and you could overhear him at the bar flirting with this girl who was just not picking it up. Like, okay, that's cool. And this dude, he was just not the kind of guy you want to hang out with. He ends up being our waiter, and I didn't get anything to eat because I was still like tripping.
Mhm.
And I remember he would never refill my glass of water because he was a dick. And after we left there, I stayed up that whole night pretty much just tripping. Um, I probably was tripping till like 4 a.m. and we probably took it at noon. So it was a long, long trip.
Yeah, that's rough. I think LSD is my favorite drug, but God, they're like when it's 4 in the morning and you're just sitting in bed staring at the wall waiting till when you can go to sleep.
Watching it breathe, wanting to fall asleep.
I know I fucked up. One of the times when I was tripping, like I thought like so what can kind of get you about acid is the peak, which is super intense, is in the first 3 hours. And after the peak, you're still tripping, like you are on LSD. But because it's not as bad or as strong as the peak, which you just experienced, you can kind of fool yourself into thinking like, yeah, okay, I'm kind of sober. Plus, for me personally, LSD comes and goes in waves. So there will be like peaks and troughs of sobriety and just tripping hard. And I was in this like sober trough and I was like, I think I'll take a dab to help me go to sleep. And I take this fat ass dab. And as I exhale, we have this picture in my living room and it's a big ass $1 bill, but it has splotches of color everywhere. And after I took that dab, like that bill went crazy. And I just started staring at that for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. And I was like, well, I guess it's time for me to go to bed. And as I go to bed, I lay down in dark room because I have a fan going, and I'm trying to go to bed, which is normal. I usually take a dab to help me uh, drift off, but I just when my eyes were closed, I got these swirling patterns of bright color, and when they were open, I saw my shadowed wall just starting to breathe. And LSD is a stimulant, and while on this stimulant, it is really difficult to sleep. So I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place, and I just have to wait until I finally sober up enough around 5 a.m. so I can finally go to sleep.
Yeah, it'll ruin your sleep schedule 100%. I've just with psychedelics in general, I can't sleep the next night. You might as well just plan to stay awake that night and just trip through the night, I guess.
That's what a lot of people do. Like some guys that I know are doing that now, but I can't really get behind tripping at night. I feel like, especially for something like acid, where it's so colorful and visual, I really want to experience that in the daytime.
That's true. Um, I think the difference between tripping in your apartment and tripping at night, or tripping at night and tripping in the day is just tripping at night. I mean, you still can find cool things to do, but there's so much more stimuli during the day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's just more to latch onto. I think like you can get more unique visuals at night just because like there's less light and your drug-filled brain has to try and like make some leaps to some of the darkened objects that you're looking at. But I mean, in the day, like, well, for example, my campus, we have some really cool art and architecture that's on campus, and we have certain buildings that are like they're uniquely designed. In that one of the buildings that I have to go to every other day is it has this bright blue floor, but it has these big stones on top of the floor, and it kind of looks like you're walking on rocks that are in a river. Um, and it's just like it's a brilliant popping color, and it looks fantastic. I can't imagine that tripping at night would be any better than tripping in the day when you're out. You can see nature, you can see all this color everywhere. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of articles about microdosing LSD during the day. They say it makes you like a better worker and everything.
I know. I'm super interested in microdosing, LSD and psilocybin. Uh,
Can
I
you
just
buy
really need to
psilocybin?
commit. Sorry,
Like,
what was that?
can you purchase psilocybin like refined? I don't know. in
Oh,
a
so like just like a crystallized form of it,
yeah,
or like a
a
powder of it.
synthesized form of psilocybin.
There is a God. I think it's. Let me try and remember. I think it's 4-MeO
Okay,
DMT. I might be. Maybe it's 4-HOE or HOMET
okay.
DMT. I don't know.
So it
But
doesn't
yeah,
have like a popular street name,
yeah, not that I'm aware
like
of.
Booty Smack or something. Gorilla Go Go Juice.
Yeah, no, it's some kind of research chemical. I think certain. I don't know what's going on with the UK and their drug laws right now. Apparently, a lot of shit is about to be made illegal. But there's a couple UK research chemical websites that sell it, and I don't know if you can get the same effects because it's. I don't think it's actually psilocybin. I think it's really similar to psilocybin, but I know like I know a guy that sells extracted liquid psilocybin.
Hmm.
So like I think you could probably microdose with that. Like take a few drops of it or something. Do the math to get as much as you need. But yeah, I'm really interested in microdosing LSD and psilocybin. Like I read a lot of really cool and productive things about it. It makes you a more social person. It's easier to pick up on just social cues in general. You're more apathetic. In some cases, you just some people claim that they think quicker and they can guess like they're just on top of their game. They're the super version of them.
Yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting if they could actually amplify your performance.
Oh that'd be so cool. I'd love to experiment with that.
But I think that was pretty much the first trip. Uh, I was gonna talk about the next trip when we tripped together at my place, unless you had a trip between then you want to talk about.
I probably did, but it wasn't that significant. Like, I
uh,
mean, if I did, I don't remember it, so I doubt it was like anything important
yeah,
happened.
I think we tripped here, and we just fucking listened to music, and eventually we walked around like my place, my apartment complex, and it was just really enjoyable. It was a really warm day for like what was it, like January almost.
Yeah, I think so.
It was super warm, but it's Florida. I mean, it was. I wouldn't say it was almost like 75 degrees.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it was a good day.
Um, and then I finger painted some.
Hmm.
That was just super enjoyable, mixing colors on acid.
It
Um,
looked like I was watching him mix the colors and it looked amazing. But like, I remember I was watching him and he was like, as he was painting his picture, he'd be like, I think I'm going to need a bit of magenta. And then he'd blend some colors together and start mixing that in. I was just like, every time two colors combined and created a new color, I was just blown away. Like, I didn't know how he could figure out like which color he wanted to start with. I would be looking at blue and just be like, damn, that blue looks fantastic. And then my eyes would wander to the green. I'm like, man, there's no better color than that. And I would just each color kept one upping another the previous color.
yeah, oil painting is very or um acrylic oils. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's very the colors are very satisfying. They're
Mm.
very bright. But it was super fun.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I remember
I
this
don't.
guy was cooking ribs outside and they smelled delicious.
I don't
Also,
really.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
Nah, dude, yeah.
All right. Yeah, with that trip, that was a good trip. That was our first like, well, I guess our first shared strong experience of an LSD trip. Um, but I don't really remember anything else that happened. We his roommate is an aspiring rapper, so we got on the balcony and listened to him freestyle out of the pool.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, we listened to a concert right on our balcony, dude. My roommate was going ham with his verses. Um, that was super sweet. I
That
remember we
was
tried to go downstairs and like interact, and you were still like you know, having like too much
Uh,
acid to blend
yeah,
into
I was still
public.
tripping too hard.
Yeah, you're tripping too hard to like be functional in social environments.
Yeah, like I met this one dude and he asked me my name and it probably took me a good 7 or 8 seconds before I
How are
realized
you?
what just happened.
Did you
But
go?
oh no. Um I think like well moving on chronologically, the last trip I took was I believe 1 or 2 weeks ago, and this was one of the more enjoyable trips I've tried. I believe it was actually 200 micrograms. Um, I got some of the strongest visuals I've ever seen so far. I know like when I was sitting in the living room looking at the walls and the doors and the paintings that we have hung up, I could see just beneath the surface all these geometric patterns, and I feel like they wanted to just explode off the whatever they were on and just fill the room. But I was like just a few micrograms short of that. So like I just saw these like really excited just patterns that were just wanting to pop. But I'm trying to think of what else happened.
Did you have any like introspection or headspace you want to remember?
So I think in terms of the introspection, no. This upcoming trip, I think I'm going to try and segment out a time to just like think and try and get introspective with LSD because that's something I mean, I have done it, but I haven't like segmented out a specific time to do it. It's just something that like came as a byproduct of whatever else I was doing. Um, so in this trip, there were no introspections, but I did pick up Hearthstone, and I was kicking ass. I probably won 8 out of every 10 games I was playing. Like
Damn.
I felt like I don't know why I was so bad at it the first time I was playing, but when I got on this time, like whenever someone would play down a card, I feel like I could envision every possible move that could be made with that card. And I was just like, playing accordingly, like playing
You fool!
around.
You triggered my trap card.
Yeah, I felt like I was just really dominating Hearthstone, and I mean, that was some of the most fun I've ever had playing the game. Like the feeling you get when you beat someone, like it was
Yeah,
fantastic. Like I felt
well
like
played.
I felt like me and another general just went head to head, and I won. My nation was taking over. Um, I know. Actually, that trip was unique. I took it with 2CB, another chemical that we're gonna have to talk about in an upcoming episode. I got some really unique hallucinations with that. It was hard for me to tell like what the 2CB was causing, but there were some new things that I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I saw a pattern break out in 3D space, which was a first for me. It
Whoa.
was essentially you remember that episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob says, "Can you reproduce by budding? Can you? Can you? Can you?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially, there was this cube floating in space, and it started budding, and it was
Huh.
going in all kinds of directions, and that was that was amazing. My first 3D pattern breakout. I've never seen that before.
That was pretty sweet.
I know. I think that was attributed to the 2CB. I know the 2CB was having some interesting, like, usually with LSD, things aren't shrinking and growing in size with me as much. But when I took the 2CB, like, sometimes I would swear I am in the wrong universe. Like, I accidentally went to a universe for giants or a universe for little people.
Yeah.
Things were just like way over undersized.
I feel like on acid, like I remember we'd be in a room and we'd be facing one way, and I'd turn, and that would be the entire room to me. Like this, whatever we were like talking in, and I'd be shocked there was a whole another side to the room. Like the rooms were expanding and growing. Like in my mind, I only had enough space for whatever short area we were in, and I couldn't comprehend there was so much more around us.
I feel like one of the things that's kind of unique to acid is it's like it puts you in that mindset that I don't know, you'll look at a sticky note and just be amazed. Like how does it do that? Like,
How does
it's
it stick so well?
I feel like it's just like it's one of those drugs, they put you in this like constant state of awe where every little thing just blows you away. But back to that 2CB trip, there were music sounded incredible to me. It sounds better on Molly, but this was a close second. Like, music was some of the greatest things. Like, I was hearing the sounds of the gods. Like, it was just this
Mhm.
audible euphoria entering into me. It was amazing. I know. So usually when I take different substances, I typically have to pee, like most people do. And when I get done, I check myself out in the mirror real quick just to see, like, I wonder what I look like on this substance. And I'll do like a quick scan, be like, huh, it's kind of weird, and then I'll leave. This time, I was on 25 milligrams of 2CB, by the way. This time, I go into the bathroom and I'm really staring at myself, and I was like, damn, this is kind of cool. That's me. And I was seeing these like colored lines that were kind of connecting the support structures of my face. So
Mhm.
like from my cheekbones, I would see like these green rays, and I think it was like the geometry of me as a person was trying to like reveal itself.
Kind of like when
And
you like click on your face on Snapchat to put a filter on.
yeah, just like that. That's a good way to put it. It was just like that, and I was like, "Damn, this is kind of cool." I wonder why people say that you shouldn't look in the mirror when you trip, and that led to, "Damn, is it dangerous to look in the mirror while tripping?" And like after I had that thought in the back of my mind, the thought, "Shit, am I in the mirror?" flashed across my mind, and as soon as I like heard myself think that, I knew I had to get out of the bathroom. I don't need to stare in the mirror and
Before
contemplate
you got
whether I'm
trapped in the
in.
mirror.
Yeah, I don't need to contemplate whether I'm in my world or in the mirror world. Um, I feel like that's just bad vibes, man. Um,
Bad vibes, man. I'm only about good vibes.
um, but yeah, I think that was about it for that experience too. Oh, what about you? You had a solo experience in
Yeah,
Tallahassee, right?
yeah, yeah. I had a solo experience. And it really was a pretty smooth trip. I mean, I kept a trip journal, and I remember I couldn't ever remember where I put my pen or what I was writing. Or I'd write something and then I'd immediately forget what I was writing halfway through my sentence. And I try to draw pictures, and they'd
Yeah,
end
I
up
feel
being
like that's really normal.
they'd be like just hieroglyphics that made no sense at all, like scribbles.
It is you're thinking so quickly on LSD that like by the time, especially when you're talking to someone, if you're explaining an idea, by the time you're like a third of the way through explaining it, you're already four thoughts ahead of that. And so it's
Yeah.
just really difficult to keep your thoughts in line. And like certain words, they lose meaning if you think about them too much. So when I was keeping my trip journal, I think I wrote out like continue or something. And that word just like it blew my mind. Like I couldn't understand like I was like, is this a real
Continue.
word or did I just make this up? And just like trying to keep coherent thoughts as I was writing was like, I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's also really difficult.
I remember near the end of the trip, or actually, I sat in my I have a little meditation room, and I sat in there and tried to get some introspective side to the LSD, but I really, I was meditating for a little while, but I really couldn't get anything like profound.
Hmm.
It probably because I only took 100 micrograms. It wasn't, an extraordinary amount,
Right. Have you
but
taken 150 before?
I've taken like 120, 130.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Personally, I didn't think there was like a big difference between 1 and 150. It was just more like I could tell it was just a higher dose.
yeah, I don't know. I had to experience it, but that's another time.
Hmm.
Um, but I sat in that meditation room, and near the end of the trip, I actually was like, "Huh, I'm pretty hungry," and so I decided I was gonna make a smoothie. and I'm still tripping pretty hard. And in my mind, I'm like, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? I could potentially like blend my hand off if I was like not aware of what I was doing, you know. But thankfully, you know, it worked pretty well. I was pretty sober enough to like make a smoothie, and it was quite delicious. But I was really amazed by like the combining of substances in the blender. I was just enthralled. I kept just hitting the blend button just to watch it mix up some more.
Dude, that's a good idea. That sounds like so much fun. I think I'm actually gonna write that down. Maybe we can blend something when you get over here.
Can we blend somebody's phone like in the Will It Blend episodes?
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
Remember Will It Blend?
I do.
Dude. Never forget.
What do you think would be cool to blend? Like, do you want to get things with different, like, brightly different colors, or do you just want to like
I was
combining?
thinking maybe like puppy.
Okay, yeah.
Two puppies.
I didn't really think this out, but I see where you're going.
A puppy and a kitten, maybe.
There was also a time confusion. Do you want to touch on that?
A time confusion?
Yeah, I believe that was the trip where you thought you were 12 hours in the future or the past.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, like, I decided near the end of this trip I was gonna take a nap. And I took a nap like late in the afternoon, like I had just been worn out. And I wake up from this nap to what I think I wake up about 7 o'clock at night, and my alarm every morning goes off at 7 a.m. right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how it all started. And so I wake up like 6:50 a.m. like, oh, beat my alarm, sweet. I have to wait for that bitch to get off. So I get up and I make a bowl of cereal and I start my morning. And I do my morning stretches and I go to the gym and I'm like, damn, the gym is fucking packed at 7 a.m. Holy shit, what are y'all doing here? And because it was like 15 people in there, and I was like, is there a fucking like party going on this morning? First 50 people to the gym get a free hand job or something. And I was like, something is off here. And so I go inside and I take a shower and I fucking just start working on some schoolwork for class that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I go and I start making lunch and I'm like, why is it still fucking dark outside at noon? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. And I sat there I was like, holy shit, I went back in time.
No, what was your sobriety like? What were you still like? Do you think you were
sober? No, I was like, I was feeling completely sober. I was like, holy shit, I went back in time. What has happened to me? Because I kept counting down the days in my mind. I'm like, I knew how many days there had been in the weekend. Like I counted what I did Friday, and then I counted what I did Saturday, and then what I did Sunday. I'm like, there's no more days. I mean, what did I do today? It's gotta be Monday. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm just like, holy shit, how is it still Sunday? Because I'm looking at my iPhone the whole time for the date, and it's saying it's Sunday, but I'm positive it's Monday. And I really didn't know what to do. I was like, I didn't think this was fucking possible, and I didn't really think it happened to me to go back in time. I was trying to remember the lotto numbers for that day, but really, I was awestruck, like dumbstruck. I couldn't figure it out. was the problem, and I sat there for like 2 hours just confused. And it was just one of those moments where you just don't know what happened.
That's so funny. I don't know what I do in that situation. Like, I don't know. Probably around. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have had a similar experience. Like around the afternoon, I would have been like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, shouldn't the sun be out?" Oh God, that's hilarious. I love that.
Not even acid, not even once.
Well, so I wanted to ask you, do you think, obviously not to the level of your shroom trip, uh, of which you highlighted in that 5 minute video and in our shroom episode, obviously not to that extent, but do you think taking LSD has changed your life in one way or another?
I think I've answered some questions on LSD. Like I've asked myself some questions on LSD, and
Hmm.
they've given me some good answers that I've eventually come around to taking advice from myself. But not in the aspect that it's something that has changed me every day of my life.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Um,
understandable. I don't think like for me personally, I think the change is just in the small things. Like I said, I get those like mental flashes of monkeys every now and then. Um,
that's
there's that.
cool,
And
dude. That's a
it's
cool
so
effect, though.
it's
Who
so
doesn't love
like
monkeys?
I mean I like it, but it's so odd. Like I don't know what about that trip. Just like I know at one point, so I have kind of hairy feet. And when I was standing on my carpet, which I have kind of like longer hair carpet, and the carpet
Shag.
kind of, yeah, kind of like shag. Um, well, while I was standing there, I noticed like the carpet kind of looked like grass, and my feet kind of looked like the feet of a monkey. Like maybe that's what got me started into that like
Maybe.
monkey
There is a
process.
there's a process on acid. Like once you get like sucked into an idea, you just keep going down that road, and you can catch yourself like just thinking about the same thing for hours on end.
I love it though. Like that's like one of my favorite, just like states of consciousness to be in. Just in that like super analytical, super acquisitive state. Like it's so much fun just to, I don't know, think about why black looks black or something. Like
Yeah.
it's just everything's amazing, and you're just awe inspired.
I think I asked myself questions like relationship questions and whatnot, advice,
Mm.
things that I already had opinion on, but I wanted to like think about it differently before. I think that's really the most profound experience I've had.
Hmm. That's understandable. I think maybe like more directed thinking, or like maybe if I don't know if dude will be able to like, I don't want to say handle it, but I don't want the introspection to get like too deep for him. Um like I don't I'm kind of worried like you guys come over and I'm like, "Hey, so let's drop this acid, but when it kicks in, let's have 30 minutes to think about us."
Mm-hmm.
I don't want him to go too deep down that rabbit hole and not expect the kind of like analytical introspection that he's going to have, and that he's going to
Not be able
like,
to pull out.
yeah, inflict on himself. Like I don't know. I'll save a deep introspection for another trip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's probably a good idea.
I'm excited for him though.
It's definitely going to be a good time.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Anyway, so whoa, okay, yeah. One of the other questions I wanted to ask you, um, would you want to combine anything with acid?
Mm.
I mean, I know we've mentioned candy flipping in the MDMA
Yeah,
episode, so I mean that one's an obvious answer.
candy flipping. I don't know what else I'd combine with it though. Maybe
Um,
a DMT.
oh, that'd be
Uh,
interesting.
that would be very interesting.
Um, I think some people. I think I'm going to be trying mescaline somewhat soon,
Hmm.
within the next couple weeks. And I think it's somewhat normal for people to combine mescaline and acid.
Really?
So depending on how this mescaline is, that might be a potential. Also, like after what you think about this 2CB, that might also be something to combine to it because it seems like it brings the acid hallucinations. It gives them a new characteristic, and you know that's something you might want to explore a little bit because it is cool. It's fun, um, but obviously you need to experience 2CB first.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's kind of about it for what I would combine it with. Oh, that and Sweet Mother Kush, of course.
Yeah, of course. Sweet Mother Kush. Plenty and plenty of Kush.
I want to look up what people say about like smoking flower while tripping. I know the dabs I have, those are a lot of people say dabs send them into a bad trip because it cranks up the intensity like more so than they were expecting.
Mm.
So I don't know if we'll dab, but I think we'll like take a hit or two out of a bowl.
Yeah, definitely. That's really what I had to say about good old LSD. I mean, that's my experience and my length of knowledge.
Yeah, I'm trying to educate myself better about just LSD in general, but I'm pretty new to the substance, so I have untold trips awaiting me in the future.
Yeah,
But for right now, those are the small changes that it's impacted me and my life, and how it quickly became my favorite drug.
I think these next trips we're gonna definitely catalog them better.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There's a lot to be said, uh, just in terms of visuals. But when we do this live trip, hopefully coming up, I hope we'll just be able to say, put into words what we're going to be seeing because that's going to be the most difficult part.
Yeah, communicating in general is really hard when you're on acid. I feel like that, like I'm excited for it. I want to keep the recording regardless of how it turns out, but I think there's a good chance we won't be able to upload it.
But yeah, that's going to come in the future. Uh, look out for it. Look out for more content. Thank you for listening. Deuces.